Hi, I'm Kay Witt and welcome to my studio. I'm so glad you joined me today as I paint this gray wolf in pastel. I know you'll enjoy it, so let's get started. Before we start painting this beautiful wolf, let's talk about our materials that we're going to need to finish this project. First, we're going to need paper. Now, I am working on velour paper. You can find that online. It's made by Herndon. It comes in sheets. Here's a sheet. It's gray. You can see I can roll it up. It comes this way. And then I have it dry mounted to 2-ply board to make it more stable for painting as well as for framing. I like the gray color because it's neutral and you can paint most anything on that surface without any problem. Now we're also going to need some other items. We're going to need some tape to tape down our drawing for transfer. And we're going to need a sharpener. This is a great sharpener. It's made by Mobius and Rupert. It's a brass 2-hole sharpener. It has a large hole on one end and a small hole on the other. This is a great product. I just love this. Very sturdy. And then we're going to need some pastels. So here's my box of pastels for this particular project. We have some pencils. We have a white charcoal pencil and a 6B black charcoal pencil. Both of these are made by General. We also have a Derwent pastel pencil in pale spectrum blue, number P370. And we have a 9B graphite pencil. So those are the pencils we'll need for this wolf. Now here I have my box of pastels, and I have 2 types of pastels. I have Rembrandt soft pastels. These are the larger sticks. I have an assortment of grays, browns, and greens. And then I have new pastels. These are the new pastels, the long narrow sticks. They're a harder pastel. I have a variety of colors for this project in this box as well. So I've assembled all of my colors. You're going to get a materials list, a PDF to print out, which will tell you all the colors that we're going to use for this project so that you can get them and be ready. The last thing we're going to need is a piece of carbon paper for transferring. This is just plain old black carbon paper that you would get from the office supply store. You can use this, which works very well, or you can also use decorative art transfer paper. So that's what we're going to need to complete the project. And now let's transfer our drawing. I'm going to show you how to sharpen your pastels and how to use them. Now we have our Rembrandt pastel. It comes in a stick like this. And you are going to snap this stick in half. We're only going to use half of it at a time. Now after I've broken it in half, I want a flat edge to color with. So this is a sandpaper block covered with 150 grit sandpaper. Now we want to take our pastel and I want to go across the edge like this until I get a flat edge. Now there's dust on it, so I want to wipe the dust on an old towel, and now I have a flat edge and I'm ready to start adding layers of color to my project. Another way to sharpen, when we use our new pastels, when we're going to use them to do fur, we want to have 4 sharp edges. And you can see that this has 4 sharp edges on it. Now when it gets dull, you want to put it perpendicular to your sandpaper block and go back and forth like this until you get 4 sharp edges again. Again, wiping the dust off on your cloth because that'll get all over your paper. So now I have 4 sharp edges again for doing the fur. Now there are other times we want to sharpen this to a point. I'm going to show you how to do this. This is where our Mobius and Rupert sharpener comes in. I'm going to push this up a little bit so you can see. Now the large end of the sharpener, I can put the pastel in. Now I don't want to shove it straight in like this. I want it to go in at an angle. And then I begin to turn it and it begins to sharpen this stick pastel to a nice point, which makes it very easy to color in those eyes and other areas of our wolf. And we just keep going. See, it's getting sharper. I love this for this. I've found this to be a very effective way for my students to be able to color easily. Now I have a nice sharp tip for coloring in those eyes and other details on my wolf. Let's talk about how we're going to create this beautiful wolf. We've talked about our materials and what we're going to need to create him, and I'm going to give you some information now. I'm going to demonstrate for you how I create this and how you will too. So we're going to use two kinds of pastel. We're going to use soft pastels by Rembrandt, and we're going to use hard pastels made by New Pastel. Now to get started, I'm going to show you two basic steps to create your wolf. So I'm going to take your pastel stick and I'm going to score it with a matte knife, and then I'm going to snap it in half. It works better to score it first with your knife and then snap it in half like this. We're only going to use half a stick. So peel the paper off your stick. Like so. And then sand the edge of your stick, the long flat edge, until it's flat on your sanding block. Then you're ready to go. So I've already sanded my light gray, and I want to make, actually I'm going to use a dark gray so you can see it better. I want to make a crosshatch stroke. I'm just kind of letting the pastel, make sure when you sand it, you wipe the dust off of it. So I'm letting the pastel come off of the stick. I'm pushing very lightly, if at all. I'm just letting it glide along the paper. Till we have a section like that. It's really great. Now, let's add a second color because the pastel adheres differently to itself than it does just to the raw paper. So let's add a green. There again, I sand it, make sure it's wiped off, and I'm going to go over this with a green. Makes a nice color. Now let's talk about the second stroke. So that's how we're going to apply basic colors to the wolf. I'm going to make sure the end of my pastel has been sanded against the block so that it has 4 sharp corners. And then in order to make the fur, I just stroke on that edge and rotating it when the edge gets dull to make the fur. Let's use a dark color. This is a dark brown. You can make darker hair, same way. This will be good for horses' manes, anytime you need a thin stroke. Isn't that great? So you're on your way to creating a beautiful wolf.